Hello, everyone. Spencer here from militarymoneymanual.com. Today, we're talking about the Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you've been living under a rock on Mars, you probably haven't heard about their big update. But if you're plugged into any kind of social media or news media, or you follow my website or any of the various bloggers out there, you probably know that the Chase Sapphire Reserve has gone through a big update. So today we're going to talk about the annual fee increasing and why, if you're in the US military or a military spouse, you don't need to worry about that. New perks and benefits, and which one Jamie and I are most excited about. Chase relaxing the 5 out of 24 rule and the lifetime bonus rules. They're changing those. And then, can you get multiple Chase Sapphire reserves? Ooh, big question. Jamie, welcome to the show. And should we jump right into it?
Yeah, let's do it. This is still one of our, it's still our top recommended card. A lot of situations, we love this card. It's very flexible and a lot of great benefits. And even though the annual fee is going up, and you'll see a lot of the non-military travel enthusiasts talking about that, and is it still worth it? Well, like Spencer alluded to, it's very easy for a military family because the service member, active duty or Guard or Reserve on long-term orders, 30 days or more, and their spouse get free credit cards. So can you talk a little bit about a brief intro to the Military Lending Act? Because we have episode 161 that talks all about that if they want full details.
Yeah, so episode 161 was our 2025 update, explaining all the military benefits, primarily on the Chase and American Express cards. But there's a couple other card issuers that also have really good military benefits. And essentially, what they're doing is they're trying to comply with the Military Lending Act, or MLA law, and they're not charging annual fees to anybody who's on active duty, Guard or Reserve on 30 plus day orders, like you mentioned, Jamie, and then military spouses of any of those as well. So the easiest thing to do is check the MLA database before you apply for the card. And you can just Google MLA database and either check it out on my website before you go to the official DoD website, and you can look up your social security number or your spouse's social security number. And then if it shows that you are eligible for Military Lending Act benefits, then your fees are automatically waived. There's nothing you have to do. Now, let's say that you're about to enlist or you're about to commission and enter active duty. You could also open up a card now. You'll probably be on the hook for at least the first year annual fee, but you can apply for SCRA, or Service Member Civil Relief Act benefits once you go active duty. Again, you can check the SCRA database. That's getting a little detailed and nuanced there, Jamie, but I would point people, like you said, to episode 161, and we talk all about that. But yeah, the Chase Sapphire Reserve going up to a $795 annual fee, and it has a whole bunch of credits. Right now, it actually has 100,000 bonus points plus $500 of Chase Travel promo credit when you spend $5,000 in purchases in the first 3 months from account opening. If you're listening to this episode at any point in the future, the bonus is probably going to change because Chase always changes the bonuses. That's why we had to record a new episode to talk about this. And just make sure you go to my website, militarymoneymanual.com, and you can get the information on the latest bonus there. And make sure that they're still waiving annual fees for military service members and military spouses.
And one of the things we love most about this card is a $300 annual travel credit. It's very flexible and easy to use, and that is not changing, despite some other things changing in earning rates and things like that. But the $300 travel credit is very easy to use. It automatically applies for your first $300 worth of anniversary year travel expenses. Could be anything from Ubers to parking at the airport to a flight or a hotel directly itself. And we're very excited that that $300 travel credit is sticking around.
Yeah, and that's why this card is my number one recommended card for military service members. If you're only going to get one card, if you want to get two cards, I would add in like an American Express Platinum card or an American Express Gold card, Amex Gold card. But if you're only going to get one card, and we do have people that reach out to us, Jamie, and they're like, come on, guys, I'm not going to open up 30 cards like you have. Then I always point them towards the Chase Sapphire Reserve because the travel credit is so easy to use. And I don't know a single military family that doesn't travel, whether it's for work or for pleasure. Or just because they have to PCS. If you're active duty or you're in the Guard or Reserve or you're a military spouse, I guarantee that you're going to have some travel expense in the near future. And if you and your spouse are each have their own Chase Sapphire Reserve card and you're each getting a $300 annual travel credit, I mean, that's $600 for free per year. I calculated the other day, my wife and I have received over $6,000 in annual travel credits from our Chase Sapphire Reserve cards. And that's just, I mean, that's a huge benefit right there.
Yeah, there's another new credit that is a $300 dining credit for Chase Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables. I think that one's $150 per semi-annual, if that sounds right. So just adding some other perks like that that are hopefully easy to redeem, not too many hoops to jump through. But usually, if it's in that portfolio, you make a charge at that restaurant and it'll be covered. So we'll see how that one goes. Let us know if you have any experience with that.
Yeah, it's not something I've ever done with they call it the Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables. It's probably just going to be a couple restaurants in your local area, probably not Chili's, but or Olive Garden, but it'll probably be a nice restaurant, and you can go and you can get a $150 statement credit. I mean, that's great. That's that could be a date night, or taking the family out for dinner every 6 months and having Chase cover a big portion of the bill, if not the entire bill. And that's I don't think that's a benefit that I'm really going to seek out. But if I happen to check the app and notice that, oh, like I was going to go to this restaurant anyways, I'm going to use my Chase Sapphire Reserve card there and get the $150 in statement credits. And oh, by the way, you're going to get 3x points on all dining worldwide as well. So if you spend $300 at a restaurant, you're going to get 900 points for that. So I really like how they bumped up the earnings. It went from 3x points, now it's 4x points on flights and hotels booked directly. I really like that they bumped that up. They kept the 3x points on dining worldwide, which is good. And then you're getting 1x points on all other purchases. The travel insurance is still, I think, one of the best in the biz. So you're getting primary rental car insurance. You're getting trip cancellation and interruption insurance, lost luggage, no foreign transaction fees on the card. And then I think the best benefit that I just noticed when I was reading through these is you're getting complimentary Apple TV Plus and Apple Music um, through 2027, through June 2027. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just switch my Apple TV Plus to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and now I get free Apple TV Plus. So I like how like you can kind of create this, because I think we get free Hulu through like my Amex Platinum. Um, there's a lot of different credits that you can pick up through these different cards, and all of a sudden you've built this like whole streaming collection, and you're paying almost nothing through it for it.
Yeah, I know that Apple TV and Apple Music will be good for a lot of people. Can you talk a little bit about the earning structure? You mentioned it very briefly, but what about on the Amex Platinum? We get 5x if we book a flight directly with the airline. What is that for the Chase Sapphire Reserve? And then what about if I book something through the Chase Travel Portal?
Yeah, so it's 4x points if you're booking a flight or a hotel directly with the company. So you go to Marriott.com or you go to American Airlines AA.com and you book the flight directly with the airline. I always, always try to book the flight directly with the airline. It just makes any modifications or upgrades or any changes so much easier. The other day, my family was traveling down to visit me in New Zealand and they had booked through American Express. Not even that they had American Express points. They just booked through the American Express travel portal and then they had to change their flight and it was a nightmare. I mean, they were like on the phone with them for like 3 hours because they're like, oh, you got to call the airline. The airline's like, no, you got to call the travel agent. It's terrible. I do not recommend ever booking through any of those portals unless you absolutely have to, or you're going to get a really good deal. And we'll talk about that. Chase Sapphire Reserve added a new option for booking through the Chase travel portal. And on the points earning side, if you book through the Chase travel portal, you're going to get 8x points. So that's pretty impressive, although it used to be 10x points. So they've actually decreased that a little bit. It used to be 10x points on hotels and rental cars, I believe. But now it's a flat 8x points. So I think that's okay. But again, like I don't think it's worth earning double the points just to have to deal with Chase travel agents.
Yeah, and so I wanna hit, one you mentioned, but you breezed past it very quickly. The primary rental car insurance is such a huge benefit, and it's one of the reasons I put almost every rental car I ever do on this card. There's only a few cards out there that have primary rental car coverage. Amex Platinum doesn't, you gotta pay for it, and when you look at theirs, it'll be secondary insurance, and that's what most of the, other cards have, where it'll your Geico, your USA, your State Farm will kick in first, and then the credit card company may consider the extra. In this case, the Chase Sapphire Reserve coverage would be primary, then you might have to go if anything's left over above the coverage limit. So that's a huge benefit if I'm not on official orders using my GTC for rental cars, which I do not recommend messing around with insurance on TDY. You definitely want to use your GTC for rental cars in case you ever get in an accident. You just hand it over the paperwork to Jag, and then they deal with all the accidents. But for personal travel or anything else, this card is my go-to for rental cars for that reason.
I really like actually, sorry, no, I really don't like this new thing that they changed with the Chase Travel Portal. So you used to get using any Chase points, so you can move your Chase points from the Chase Freedom Flex or the Chase Freedom Unlimited to your Chase Sapphire Reserve, and then you could use the points with a 50% bonus to book travel in the Chase Travel Portal. So this was, it basically gave a benchmark of you always needed to be getting at least 1.5 cents per Chase point, which is better than like on the Amex Platinum side or the American Express side. American Express points you can use in the portal, American Express travel portal, but it's 1 cent per point. So this 50% bonus was a really nice feature that the Chase Sapphire Reserve had. And I often thought, man, that's going to go away one day. Like that is, it's too good to be true. And sure enough, here we are 10 years after the Chase Sapphire Reserve launched, and it is going away. So no longer will you get a 50% bonus on your points when you book travel through the Chase travel portal connected to your Chase Sapphire Reserve card. But Chase has added a new thing called Points Boost, and it means you're going to get 2 cents per point of value on select airlines and hotels. So on the one side, I'm not excited because this removes a lot of flexibility that Chase points used to have. But on the other side, I just looked up, let's, take, for example, a flight from New York City to London or New York City to Paris. I was just in there, and $2,000 business class flight, and normally would be 200,000 points, but because it was an airline that was participating in the points boost, it was only 100,000 points. So I think it's going to be a little less flexibility, but there are going to be opportunities where you're going to see the ability to cash out your Chase points for 2 cents per value pretty easily. Another one I looked up was a direct flight from New York City to Auckland, New Zealand, and on Qantas business class, normally an $8,000 ticket, but 2 cents per point, you can get it for 400,000 points. Maybe not the best redemption, but if you have a lot of Chase points, it's nice to get more than a penny per point.
So I just want to make sure I understand that. We used to talk about how the Chase Travel Portal 1.5 cents per point value. That's what's gone, and it's now basically 1 cent per point value, except for these select airlines and hotels that will be 2 cents. Is that correct? And I have a follow
That's
up.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. So have they published a list of select airlines and hotels, or do you just have to look at the search and see which ones? And are they marked like, hey, this one's eligible for points boost, or is there any way to tell you're getting the better deal?
Yeah, so it's going to be, at least in my recent searches, it's at the top. It'll say, "Hey, for the route that you just searched, these airlines are doing points boost," and it'll
Hmm.
say how much the cash is, what it used to be when it was 1.5 cents, and what it is now that it's 2 cent per point. And so I like that feature. I think eventually the 1.5 cent will just kind of go away in a year or two because people will forget that ever existed. And so it'll just show, you know, hey, you could have booked this for an equivalent, 1 cent per point, or because it's a points boost, you can book it for 2 cents per point. It's the airlines, it's gonna depend. So this is one of those things I think Chase is gonna go to the airlines and market and say, hey, do you want, more bookings? We can add you as a points boost partner. So currently, like it looks like it's United, Qantas, a couple other airlines are participating as well, but I imagine that will change as the airlines need to fill seats, or they have a big marketing push, or maybe Chase wants to promote, using points on that airline.
Yeah. Another source of income, maybe like advertising. What about the foreign transaction fee that's important for military families? I just want to make sure we emphasize the benefits of this card in that way.
Yeah, no foreign transaction fees. So you can use it. I've used this card overseas. I've lived overseas now for over 3 years. I use it daily and I never have to pay a foreign transaction fee, which is fantastic. So if you're stationed in Korea or Japan or anywhere in Europe, Germany, England, it's a great card to have because you can just, it's got pay waves. So you just tap, wherever you go, gas station or grocery store.
Paywave, that's
And
such a foreign thing to say.
what do you guys call it? Tap
I
to
don't know.
pay?
Apple Pay?
No, but
Tap to
what
pay
do you
probably.
tap to pay? Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
I don't know.
Pay wave. You're waving the car. You're waving the card over the thing.
You actually have to, like, hold it very precisely in a spot that's different on every terminal, so it's, like, really, like, hold it still and then move it around slowly and see if it tap to hold tap in all areas and see if you can ever get it to register. Okay, anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, no. I mean, that's it. I mean, it's no foreign transaction fees. So I know, like people have, the card that they opened when they were in high school or college or something, and they're paying 3% foreign transaction fees. And I'm like, what are you doing, you dummy? Come on. Like, if you're spending, I don't know, let's say you're spending $10,000, $20,000 a year living overseas, that's $300, $600 a year that you're just giving to the bank for no reason when there are no foreign transaction fees card. I mean, even you could get a Fidelity 2% cash back card, no annual fee. You're collecting 2% cash back flat on every single purchase, and it has no foreign transaction fees. Like, at least do that, right? Like, if you don't want to get fancy with it, go get a Fidelity 2% cash back card. But I don't know. It blows my mind that any military service member or military spouse is still paying foreign transaction fees in 2025 when there are so many annual fee waived cards, premium cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, like the Amex Platinum, that are globally accepted, and you can pay no annual fees on them and pay no foreign transaction fees on them.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple other benefits I was reading about, and I just want to make sure we have clear for the listeners and me. This is selfish too. The $500 credit for stays with the Edit. That's our handpicked collection of hotels and resorts, their website says, and it's $250 every semi-annual period. So it's January to June, and then again July through December. Is that kind of similar to what we have with the Amex Platinum and the fine hotels and resorts? It looks like it comes with a property credit and breakfast and room upgrades kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely Chase's answer to the American Express Fine Hotels and Resorts, or FHR program. Like you said, you're going to get free breakfast, you're going to get the room upgrade, you're going to get early check-in, you're going to get late checkout. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this credit on the MX Platinum because they're like, oh, I don't want to stay in a fancy hotel that costs $400 a night. But I'm telling you, there is a difference. There is a marked difference between a $400 a night hotel and a $200 a night hotel. So even if you have to pay $200 out of pocket to access the $400 a night hotel, it can be well worth it. Plus, remember all the benefits you're getting. So all of a sudden, if you're staying in a hotel that has the edit credit or the FHR credit, you're getting the free breakfast. That can have $100 value. You're getting the $100 room credit. I mean, you can use that for room service, and all of a sudden now you've got dinner paid for as well. So I the other day I went to Sydney with Australia with my wife, and we stayed at a hotel. I think it was a Four Seasons with the FHR credit. It was like $260 US dollars. So all of a sudden, boom, $200 comes off the top with the FHR credit. And this will be similar with the Chase Sapphire Reserve edit credit. Edit credit, that sounds funny. Uh, but so all of a sudden the room rate is $60, but then you have the $100 credit, then you have the free breakfast. You have the early check-in. I think is huge too. When you're showing up to a hotel and you get to come in at noon and they're like, yep, the room's ready, go ahead. And oh, by the way, the next day you're not checking out till 4. It just makes, like, having 28 hours in a room just makes so much more sense than the traditional hotel room of, okay, you can check in at like 3 or 4, and oh, by the way, you got to be out by 10. And it's like, dude, I didn't even get 24 hours in this room. Like, what am I paying for?
They're basically paying you to take a vacation. That's some great girl math there, Spencer.
Thank you.
Other one I was gonna ask about is the Chase Sapphire Reserve lounges, and there's a priority pass benefit, and
Mhm.
and Chase has their own lounges, which is uh, bigger than when we recorded our very original episode about credit cards like 4 years ago now. Um, so, what about that lounge access?
Yeah. So unfortunately, they devalue the priority pass. So for a while there, you could get the restaurant credit with the CSR as well. But MX Platinum got rid of that because it was getting really expensive. I think Chase Sapphire Reserve's gotten rid of that as well. So you do still get priority pass lounge access. They advertise that there's 1,300 airport lounges worldwide. I have experienced a wide variety variance of quality between these lounges. I mean, I should pull up the pictures from the lounge, quote unquote, that we went to in Sri Lanka. It was, yeah, it was interesting. I don't think I ate any of the food there. Uh, but the Chase Sapphire Reserve lounges, or excuse me, they're calling them Chase Sapphire lounges. I think are excellent. There's
Yeah.
the best ones I think are in like Boston and Philly now, but there's new ones coming to New York, a couple of the airports there.
I think Las
Um,
Vegas is the only one I've been to. It was great, and being able to bring
yeah.
in 2 guests, like, I was traveling for work, and there was an NCO I was with, and I was like, "Hey, I have this credit card, you can come in for free with me if you want," and he was like, "Wow, they have a fountain with sparkling water, and they have, like, drinks here and food here, and they have an omelet station, it's all free." I was like, "Yeah, man, come on in." So,
It's amazing how little the lounges have to offer because we've just created like just a horrible like the regular
the
travel
airport
experience.
yeah.
It's just so horrible. It's like, oh my gosh, they have chairs I can sit in and power outlets and free Wi-Fi. Although most I think most airports now are doing the free Wi-Fi thing. But the priority pass lounge access is good. Not great, I would say. The Chase Sapphire Lounge access it can be great. It just depends on which airports you're using and flying out of. And then the two guest thing is good as well. I'm going to throw a shout out to Capital One with their Venture X card. They have some excellent Capital One lounges. And I would say of the let's see, Centurion. I would say pre-COVID, the Centurions were probably the best. Chase Sapphire, but now I'd say the Centurions are the worst. Sapphire's number two, and the Capital Ones I would put at number one in terms of lounges.
We all love our lounges. This is a benefit, Spencer. I'm kind of excited to try. I haven't used it yet, but there's a $300 StubHub credit. It's like I feel like I can find a concert ticket or some kind of sporting event somewhere near me. $150 every 6 months via StubHub or via GoGo. I have no idea what that company is. Between now and the end of 2027, after you activate that offer, that's another thing. Some of these new benefits you have to actually go in and activate. So just pay attention to that in your Chase app or website. Go to the benefits tab and it'll say if you actually have to click on something to activate. But I think StubHub, I mean, that's a pretty easy one to use. I think.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy one to use. Lots of people like to go into concerts, like going to events. So I would put that one as probably one that I'll use in the next year or two. Maybe not every year, but it's definitely got potential. And then you've also got the $120 credit towards global entry, Nexus or TSA pre-check every 4 years. And if you don't have global entry, go get global entry right now. You've already got TSA pre-check through your DoD ID number, so that on the back of your common access card, you can add that to your booking as a known traveler, and you're going to be able to go through TSA pre-check. But your military spouse doesn't have the same benefits, so go get them global entry. Get yourself global entry, and especially when you're coming back into the states from overseas, if you're not going via mill transport and you're going by civilian, dude, I the other day I was coming in through JFK in New York City,
Ooh.
super busy airport, right? But they've got these nice new terminals, and I'm on the plane, snap my selfie through the global entry app on my phone, get the little green check mark, and I literally did not stop walking. It was just walk off the plane, got to immigration. There's a special global entry line. Walk up there. Anything to declare, sir? Nope. See ya. And I was out. It was seamless.
And when you get your spouse global entry, it comes with the pre-check benefits as well, right?
Correct.
Yep, which is
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, the last credit I wanted to mention, I think this is kinda cool, I have a story, so shout out to my friends Jay and Lauren that helped, me optimize this one, is it's DoorDash, credit, and it's a little bit of, like, coupon bookie a little bit, but, you get $120 a year towards your Dash Pass membership, which is cool, cut down on fees and stuff like that, but, the Dash Pass monthly credit, you get up to $25 each month to spend on DoorDash, which is $5 on restaurant orders and up to 2 promos on grocery retail orders or more. So what they taught me is that the AFES Shopette was on DoorDash, and so is like Subway and Popeyes and other stuff like that. So I ordered a bottle of wine, like our favorite cheap red blend for 9.99, and then just like ordered it. And next time I was at the Shopette, I picked it up and DoorDash paid for it. So it's for free. And then like they got monsters and pizza or well, whatever. So or I think Diet Dr. Pepper, I forget. But so for the optimizers out there that'll look for every opportunity to get free stuff, look at DoorDash and you can get $25 a month, some restaurants, some on grocery.
I can't wait to try your $10 wine, Jamie. This is
Oh,
exciting.
we drank it already. It was so good.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a great credit if you can use it. But I think that does bring up you mentioned the word coupon, the phrase coupon book, and that's a lot. A lot of people online they're having that reaction to the card where they're like, "Come on, like if they had just increased the travel credit up to $500 or even $400 and not done a bunch of these, Dash Pass and uh, let's see, maybe the Apple TV. That's a pretty easy benefit to use, but there's maybe maybe the $150 credit towards Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables, right? If they had just thrown a little bit of that credit into the travel credit, I think a lot more people would see the value of the card instead of it becomes this like chore where you have to go through activate all the offers, you got to use them by 2027 or they expire. And I think the credit card companies are going to, especially for civilians, they're going to have a bit of a backlash here, and they're generating a lot of credit card fatigue, where they keep refreshing these offers, but they're adding things that are harder to use. And I think it's creating these cards as almost like a coupon book. Now, as a military service member, you really don't have to worry about any of that, and that's why it's so easy for me to recommend to every single military service member, as long as you don't have credit card debt, as long as you've got the rest of your financial ducks in a row. But every military service member, Guard and Reserve on 30 plus day orders, and military spouse, if you don't have this card, I just want to, I'm curious why you don't. And when all you have to do is use a $300 annual travel credit, and that's a free $300 a year. And if I could go out there and give every single military service members a $300 annual bonus, I would, but I can't. So I got to tell you to go get the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you're not going to pay an annual fee on it, and you're going to get all these benefits.
Yeah, I totally get it. There's definitely a lot of things in there, but I think, between all the new ones, we didn't even mention them all. There's $10 a month in Lyft, there's $10 a month in Peloton membership. Like there's things there, but there's also tools that help track that. Like we've talked before about the app Max Rewards. I pay for a premium plan on that to help me track all my cards and benefits. There's another good one called Card Pointers. And so those are two that I personally pay for that I've used. I'm still like deciding of which one I like better. Right now, I'm using them both, but there are tools out there to help you track them. But like if you use Lyft, if you use Peloton, like spend 5-10 minutes to go into your account and look at these new benefits, and then you next time you're looking for concert tickets, I have a StubHub credit. Let me look that up, and it takes an extra minute or two to get $150 in that case. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost getting to the point where I'm like, I mean, there's so many credits that I don't
Yeah.
use on the MX Platinum, and I feel like that's going to be the same thing for the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I wanted to bring up that the Chase is relaxing the 5 out of 24 rule. So this is something that they used to have a rule that was a couple of years ago was very strictly enforced. So that was if you had 5 cards open from any issuer on your credit report in the last 24 months, the last 2 years, they would not, no if, ands, or buts, approve you for another Chase card. So this is why I always told people like go for your Chase cards first, then move on to American Express, because American Express didn't have a similar 5 out of 24 rule. Now, with the launch of these cards, they're relaxing those 5 out of 24 rules. They've already relaxed them in the last year or two, where there was lots of data points of people being over 5 out of 24 and still getting approved for cards. And now it's official. They're really relaxed these rules. So if you're over 5 out of 24, you might be eligible for a Chase Sapphire Reserve, and it's offering an all-time high welcome bonus. I mean, this is the same welcome bonus that they offered when they launched the card, I think back in like 2016, 2017. Uh, but but yeah, they've also relaxed the 5 out of 24 rule. The other thing that they changed as well is the lifetime bonus rule. So it used to be a 48-month rule where you couldn't get a bonus on a Chase Sapphire product if you had received a Chase Sapphire bonus in the last 48 months. That's now gone to lifetime. So if you've ever received a Chase Sapphire bonus, you might not be eligible to get another one. However, I've got a data point here. A listener wrote in and said, "Hi, quick question. I'm a military spouse. Based on your recommendation, I opened up a Chase Sapphire Preferred card and I earned the points bonus in 2023. I then closed the card in 2024. I haven't opened any other cards in the last 2 years. I'm an authorized user on my husband's Chase Sapphire Reserve card. If I was to apply and get a Chase Sapphire Reserve card, do I qualify to earn the 100,000 points bonus?" So she earned a CSP bonus in the last 24 months, in the last 2 years. And normally the rule is a 48-month rule. So I said, well, just go apply for it because Chase has a new feature where when you're applying for the card, the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, it'll tell you if you're not eligible for the bonus. So it'll say, hey, you're not eligible for the bonus. Do you want to continue your application? We haven't checked your credit report yet. If you click no, I don't want to continue the application, then it just ends your application. And if you are eligible for the bonus, it won't throw up that warning message. So this is kind of like the dreaded Amex pop up, but the Chase version of that. So I recommended to the listener to go apply for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and she did, and she was eligible for the welcome bonus. So if you've had a Chase Sapphire Preferred or a Chase Sapphire Reserve bonus in the past, you might still be eligible for another Chase Sapphire Reserve bonus. Just start your application and see if you are. militarymoneymanual.com/CSR.
So, Spencer, what if someone already has a Chase Sapphire Preferred because they liked the welcome offer that was available at the time or that card's benefits? For a while, they were kind of restrictive on anything labeled Sapphire, and once you had one, you're kind of stuck. Has that gotten a little more lax now?
Yeah, that rule got relaxed by Chase as well. So they used to call it the one sapphire rule, and if you had a CSP, a Chase Sapphire Preferred, you were not eligible for a bonus. You couldn't apply for a Chase Sapphire Reserve and get approved. So, but now they've changed that rule. So you can apply for both cards in the Chase Sapphire family. So if you have a Chase Sapphire Preferred, you can apply for a Chase Sapphire Reserve, and you might be even eligible for the welcome bonus. And you'll get the pop up if you're not. So there's really no risk. Just start the application if you're interested in getting the card, and the system will tell you if you're eligible for the welcome bonus or not. This also brings up the point that let's say that you have a Chase Sapphire Preferred and you apply for the Chase Sapphire Reserve and you get the welcome bonus on that. You can actually, once the Chase Sapphire Preferred is a year old, you can product change it or upgrade it to a Chase Sapphire Reserve by sending a message to Chase, a secure message, or calling them. And you can have multiple Chase Sapphire Reserves, all with the annual fees waived. So the most I've heard about so far is 3 Chase Sapphire Reserves. And the person was getting the fees waived on all those cards, and they were getting the $300 annual travel credit on each of those accounts. You can also upgrade Chase Freedom Flex and Chase Freedom Unlimited to more Chase Sapphire Reserves as well, CSRs. And so if you Google multiple Chase Sapphire Reserves military, my site will pop up and I'll walk you through exactly how to do that. Um, Kind of similar to the MX Platinum. So I know people who have 10 MX Platinum cards. I think that the highest I've ever seen is like 19. So you can get multiple of the credit cards and you still pay no annual fees, which is a tremendous benefit for military service members.